This segment is brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And we are always glad to get updates from things that are happening in the state. There's nobody else to turn to than our very own state representative, Jessica Domangue. Jessica, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me again.
All right. Of course, District 53, state rep. And so listen, you don't have to drive around Houma very far at any time during the day to realize that we're continuing to have these bridges and road problems. Tell us a little bit about where things stand and some input.
Okay, so I guess the big elephant in the room right now is Domangue Bridge.
Yes.
Early in the month, we had to close Domangue Bridge indefinitely. There was some major structural problems that was found whenever it was inspected. After it was repaired for the lifts.
Right.
That they said, hey, look, we've got to look at this. So what's actually happening, this is the North Tower that you're seeing right now. So there are 3 of the 14-inch bolts that are securing the bridge to the actual ground that are completely deteriorated, as you can see in this picture. This is just in the North Tower. And so what we have to do is we have to actually replace those bolts. Now it takes very, very specialized equipment to do that.
Sure.
And it's for the safety of people,
right,
to cross that bridge. There were some videos that I saw. The towers are actually not even touching the ground. They're bouncing. And so those videos weren't available to the public, but
right.
But yeah, so what they're doing right now is they are going to repair those 3 bolts in the North Tower. And at that point, once those are repaired, in approximately 5 weeks, we will reopen it to curfew traffic to be able to repair the other 3 towers.
Okay.
Those other 3 towers are not nearly in as significant damage as the North Tower is.
Right.
However, and at that point, we'll be able to reopen. And once those other 3 are reopened, we should be able to fully reopen the bridge.
Right.
And they're thinking it won't be nearly as long as the 5 weeks
that it took for those
original ones,
Gotcha.
because the damage isn't nearly as severe.
Right.
And once again, this is for public safety.
Right.
This is for the safety of the residents of Terrebonne Parish. And so we absolutely appreciate DOTD seeing this and addressing it.
Right.
Because the last thing we want is to see somebody get into danger because of this.
Right. And so when people look at this and they go, oh my gosh, they open the bridge and they close it, now they're closing indefinitely, you need to understand 2 different problems. They fix the lift, and once they fix the lift, with inspection, they realize that these bolts had deteriorated, and that's a structural problem. And they find that out by doing these assessments and these evaluations. And so this is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
The traffic that's created by it is not, and we understand that, but I'm so very glad that law enforcement is helping when they can to really try and ease the flow of traffic where we can.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was brought to my attention. There was actually some maintenance that was done on this bridge back in the 90s. We had some of the connections were added at some point in the 1990s. It was brought to my attention that this bridge was closed for 9 months.
9 months.
Yes.
That's right.
And so
we don't remember that, right?
Yeah,
Nobody remembers
well,
that now. What have you done for me lately?
Well, we didn't have social media in the 1990s either, so it made things a lot easier. But yeah, so this bridge did undergo a complete rehab in the 90s.
Right.
And
we also didn't have the twin span.
We didn't have the twin span, right?
So all the traffic went through the tunnel.
So yeah, there's
and the small bridges.
Of course, everybody's upset.
Right.
But we are doing everything we can in our power to be able to get this done and expedite it as quickly as possible. And once again, everybody is working together to make sure that this happens. Is it a frustration? Absolutely. Is it an inconvenience? Absolutely. But having an unsafe bridge is way worse than the inconveniences that we're experiencing right now.
That is correct. Any danger that could have been created from this, and we would, any accidents or loss of life, heaven forbid. So this is a good thing. We need to really reframe how we're seeing this. This is just the necessity, what it takes place when we live in the environment that we do with so much, humidity and all the problems that we do. It just creates some structural problems that maybe not other people have.
Absolutely. And I've been very thankful too for DOTD and their leadership to be so transparent with us and to allow us to be transparent with the citizens of Terrebonne Parish. And there's been some negativity out there about how transparent we've been. However, if we don't paint the full story, people will be questioning what's actually happening.
Right.
And so I think it's so important that we be transparent and really let people know, because the people of Terrebonne Parish are very, very intelligent. They understand.
They get it.
We've been through so much.
Right.
They get it and they deserve to know the truth. And so that's why I feel as though I want to put as much information as I possibly get out to the people. And so some of those comments and some of those notions that have been directed to us just aren't fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and listen, I'd much rather us be transparent and somebody be bothered by that than us try to hide something and then have a lack of trust.
Absolutely.
As you and I know, the foundation of any relationships is built on trust. We learned that in school.
Most definitely.
And it's just really important to be able to do. Jessica, I always appreciate your time. We're glad you're going to be able to stick around. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing that. All right, guys, Jessica's going to stick around. Y'all do that as well. We'll be right back right here on Bayou Time.
This segment was brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And very glad to have back joining us, State Representative Jessica Domangue, District 53. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me again.
And again, we can talk about roads and bridges for days and days, I know. But let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening and some of the projects and how we're going to try and ease some of these problems here as soon as we can.
Absolutely. So you're talking about the road projects, correct?
Right.
So as you can see, 24 is being resurfaced as we speak.
Right.
So the main and park side, I believe it's from Howard Avenue all the way to Polk. This was something that has been in the works for many, many years.
Right.
Actually, whenever I was on the council,
Right.
it was something we announced back then. And so just so the public knows, usually these projects, that's how long they take.
Yeah, there's some 7 to 10 years very often.
Yeah, and a lot of people are complaining, well, why do we have these projects going on while we have these bridges out? If we tell the contractors, no, it might be another 5 to 7 years, 10 years before we get them to come back.
Right.
Because there's other projects in the state of Louisiana as well.
Right.
And so while we think Terrebonne Parish is the most important place, which I think
And
is the
it
most
is.
important place, Louisiana is a very big state.
Right.
And so they move around.
Right.
And so they're on a date and they're on a timeline to be able to get this one project done.
Right.
So it just so happened to be a coincidence that
Right.
we had the bridges out and we have these roads projects going on at the same time. So we welcome it because
Right.
it, as much of a heartache as it is right now, and I understand and I empathize. I know it's
Right.
It's,
We're
it's-
driving the roads
right.
too,
We're
right?
driving the roads too. It's tough, but if we look 6 months from now, we're going to have all brand new bridges and we're going to have all brand new state highways.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah, it's gonna
we're
be
gonna,
glorious.
And then we're going to look back and think, wow, we had a really tough time, but we were able to get through it. And now look at how wonderful everything is.
Right.
Once again, we understand the frustration. I get it. I feel it.
Right.
We drive it too. It's just temporary though.
Right. You got to keep in mind, I love that. I love the way you looked at that, the perspective. Keep in mind it's temporary. And we don't have a lot of control over when these projects begin. We ask for it, they approve it, we raise the money for it. And then when they're ready for these state projects, we got to be ready when they come. And we can't predict when our bridges are out. We
No,
just can't.
you know, Keith, I'm glad you kind of said that because that sparks stuff for me too. And once again, I shouldn't read all the comments on social media, but I do.
Well, you want to know what people are
Right.
thinking.
And I want to know what people are thinking and I hear them and I understand, I appreciate. But we have to remember too, DOTD is part of the governor's departments, right?
It's part of
and
the
so,
state.
So DOTD reports directly to the governor.
Right.
DOTD does not report to the legislature.
Right.
We are lucky to have a very good relationship with DOTD
Right.
that they'll even return my phone calls.
Right.
Or return Senator Fazy, or, we have a really good working relationship with them. We want to continue that.
Right.
If I go in there guns a-blazing saying,
not
yelling
doing
and
this, you're
screaming
not
and
doing that, why
how
don't
we're
you
not doing this,
finish?
they're not going to return my phone calls,
Right.
right? And so it's just not the way government works. And so, we're working with what we have, and we
Right.
have a great relationship with them right now to be able to get stuff down here.
Right.
But once again, if we start really kind of having the pitchforks out,
Right.
they're not gonna be receptive to us.
Right. And quite frankly, and some of that is reforming right now. There's a little
Correct.
bit of reform, and we know Archie Chasson is going to be involved in that. And we want to make sure we get off on the right foot, that Terrebonne Parish is thankful that we have these programs and this process going, and that we take what we can get. We know it's frustrating. We take what we can get, but we're going to move forward and do that together. right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of doing things together, there's this whispering, I love Jason's word, the whispers of restructuring or redistricting and a special session. Tell us what you know so far of what you've heard.
Okay, the short of it, when we first took office in 2024, our very first special session was a redistricting session for our congressional maps.
Right.
The maps were terrible.
Yep. Didn't make any sense. Thank you, Jason.
And it split Terrebonne and Lafourche, which was traditionally one region together. We think of Terrebonne and Lafourche as brother sisters.
Don't separate me from my twin.
Right, exactly. It really made no sense. We also got rid of both of our congressmen, Steve Scalise and Garrett Graves. So our delegation really stuck together, and
Everybody did.
everybody.
All five.
So Big Mike, Senator Allan, myself, Jerome Zarang, and Beryl Amity, we all voted no against those maps.
Yep.
And I think that's really important for people to remember, that we stood up and said, no, we don't want this.
Right.
So what's happened now is the Supreme Court is making a decision whether these are constitutional. We know they're not,
Right.
because they're based on race, and it's unconstitutional to create a map based on race.
Right.
And so we're being told to clear our calendars for the end of October, so that we can redraw these maps.
Yep.
If they bring us something like this again, I'm going to vote no
We're
again.
going to vote no again.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to do what it takes to do that.
Absolutely.
I love the
Absolutely.
fact, Jessica, that y'all did that together. And so we appreciate it, as always. We look forward to updates from you about that.
Always, anytime.
Very cool. Jessica, thanks for your time. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time and the show. But don't go anywhere. Got a whole lot more right here on HTV.
This segment was brought to you by Waits and Downer, attorneys at law.